It's not just our homes that need a good spring cleaning. You should also spring clean your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Dr. Rob Robinson is the Clinical Director of Family Care Counseling Associates in Wilbraham, and he joins us with tips to spring clean our mind and our lifestyle. It's so nice to be talking about spring.
Oh my God, after the winter we've had, it's unbelievable.
It's wonderful
really,
to be talking about this.
But you know, obviously we've all been through a lot with this winter. It's really dragged everybody down. So it's kind of cool to think about, you know, getting the windows open, cleaning your house, you know, just airing everything out. But the same thing can be true of kind of cleaning up our emotions and our behaviors and our thoughts as well. So it's a good time to kind of think about what can build resilience and kind of get us psyched for the new coming season.
So you've got some great advice. The first one, we all know the song, Row Your Boat Gently Down the Stream. You say row it more gently.
Right. I mean, one of the things that happens is that you know, we have the ability to be able to choose how we're going to deal with adversity. You know, and the thing is that there's a lot of stuff that happens in everybody's life that's incredibly stressful. But what people don't realize is that it's not necessarily the events that cause the reactions, but are what we tell ourselves about the events that cause the reactions. And so if you think about A, B, and C, and you have A is the adversity, B is the belief, and C is the consequence, the important thing to know is that A, the adversity or the stress, doesn't cause C, the reaction. It's B, which is the belief about what we tell ourselves about the adversity. If we tell ourselves that this is the end of the world, then it's going to be the end of the world. But if you take it in stride, accept what's going on in the present moment, and not die on every hill necessarily, know your ABCs, that I can choose what I'm going to tell myself about this, then there's a lot less wear and tear along the way. It's a great way to be able to think about, you know, I have a choice about what I can tell myself about this. I'm not saying it's not tough, but don't catastrophize. Try not to make it the end of the world.
Try to change your perspective and be positive.
Exactly.
Optimism, that's important, right? Your next tip is to learn to stop, breathe, think, and choose more.
Herbert Benson, a cardiologist who taught at Harvard, had this great technique saying that, you know, when you're in the middle of something that's really, really challenging, where you're really starting to get flooded and you're really starting to overreact, you never really want to make a decision when you're angry and upset at that point. Because usually if your heart rate is up over 90 beats per minute, you're not going to be able to think clearly anyway. So he had a little technique called stop, breathe, think, and choose, which is a great way to regulate impulse control and not overreact. So when you're faced with something that you see your heart rate starting and getting worked up, take some really deep cleansing breaths, calm yourself down, think what's the best way to handle this, and then choose the best method. Because when people are repeatedly dealing with things on an impulse kind of reactive piece, they make huge mistakes and usually end up saying and doing the wrong thing. So the stop, breathe, think, and choose method gives you a chance to just pause, catch your breath, calm down, and think clearly through the issue.
So let's use this season to really breathe in, open the windows, and stop, think, choose, and breathe. That's right.
Stop, breathe, think, and choose.
I got all the words, just different order. As long as I do them all right. Stop, breathe, think, choose.
There you go. Perfect.
Now, you already touched on this a bit, but you encourage people to think more optimistically.
Yes. You know, the interesting thing about optimism, and there's countless studies that have been performed on optimism, and optimism is one of these things that you can absolutely learn. You know, optimists live on average 8 years longer than pessimists.
Wow.
Their immune systems are stronger, they're healthier people generally because of the way the mind is wired and how people think. There's a true connection between the mind and the body. And the best way to learn, the simplest way to learn about optimism is that never see anything that happens in a way that you think is permanent. You know, this is just a temporary piece. It's not going to be forever. And the one thing that you might be dealing with that's bad doesn't make everything bad in your life. So the most important thing is when you have adversity, when you have stress, think it's just local to that event. It doesn't mean that everything in my life is bad, and it's not permanent. This too shall pass. And if you can bring that kind of thinking to the things that you deal with, you'll increase your optimism, you'll be healthier, and you'll live a whole lot longer.
That's absolutely amazing, how just changing the way you think and to always think it could be worse, right? It could always be worse.
And it's absolutely true. I mean, there's countless studies done on optimism, and that is absolutely the case, that you can increase your immune system and you can live a lot longer if you just don't die on every single hill. will.
Don't forget those words, this too shall pass. Also, learn to understand and care more about people's feelings and the emotional impact that we have on other people.
You know, another thing that is absolutely important to do when you're trying to think about kind of cleaning up the way that you deal with feelings and emotions and behaviors and thoughts is to really work on trying to get stronger in developing empathy for other people. You know, one of the things that makes life easier in relationships is to have an understanding how, you know, other people feel, so you make a good read about what you need to do in reaction to how they're feeling, but also it's important to understand the impact that we have on other people's feelings. And one of the best ways that you can build empathy in a relationship is simply to ask yourself, in what I'm about to say or do with this other person, how am I hoping to make them feel, and what am I trying to achieve? If you stop and think about what your purpose is and what you want the person to feel, there's a higher chance that you're going to be able to regulate that interaction so that it's done with the person's feelings in mind and in an act of kindness rather than trying to hurt somebody or do something that isn't right. And making a proper read on people's feelings also helps you to regulate what your response is going to be.
Right.
And some people just do that naturally. Other people are not wired necessarily to have that, so you have to work on it a little bit harder.
All right.
But it's a great thing for relationships.
And you can do that. Start doing that now while you're sprinkling your mind. Think of others while you're also thinking about yourself.
Absolutely.
Also, learn to build confidence and a greater sense of control over your life. How can we do that?
Well, you know, confidence is an important piece. And I'm not talking about false confidence. I mean really being able to believe that you have control over the things that happen in your life. People who have lower self-esteem and don't believe that they have the control absolutely have higher levels of anxiety and higher levels of depression. And you know, a simple little exercise, and I think we may have talked about this on previous segments here, a simple exercise every night before you go to bed for 4 weeks is just think back on your day and think about 2 things that went well that day. 2 things that just seemed to go well, and why did they go well? What was it about your piece or your action in those events that made it turn out okay? And when you take that inventory, you write those things down and you journal about it. It takes 2 or 3 minutes to do that. It really begins to develop real confidence in your ability to regulate and control things in your life. And if that happens, depression and anxiety tend to go away.
Wonderful tips. This is amazing. And now when we spring clean our home, we'll spring clean our mind and work on being a better person. And also your last step, we don't have time to talk about it, but learn to ask for help when you need it.
Yes, reach out. Don't carry the world on your shoulders. Reach out and ask for help. That's really important. We can talk about that some other segment.
We sure will. Thanks,
All right.
Dr. Robinson.
Great.
Love having you. For these tips and more, visit us online at mymassappeal.com.